Welcome, viewers. We have here today with us Mr. S.K. Barua, Managing Director of Numaligarh Refinery Limited. We are meeting here today on the occasion of Saksham 2021, an initiative of the Government of India, Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, in association with Petroleum Conservation Research Association, to make the people aware about conservation of petroleum products. Mr. Barua, we'd like to ask you about the significance of Saksham 2021, and will you kindly elaborate on its theme, green energy, clean energy?
Thank you, PJ. Thank you for having me here. This is actually a very important event for us, 1 month of celebration of conservation of energy. So this Saksham thing means Sanrakshan Khamta Mahotsav. Our idea is to conserve fuel. Initially we started this as a one particular day in 1991. Then in 2004 we had made it one fortnight, and now it is 1 month of celebration. In this whole 1 month, we and the whole oil industry and the ministry, and guided and supported by PCRA, we do 1 month of events throughout the country, in our petrol pumps, retail outlets, in our LPG distributors, and also in those communities where we can promote and bring in awareness of why we need to conserve these fossil fuels. So we do a lot of events, like today is one of these events. And then we do things like cyclothon, marathon, walkathon, to see that whether we can promote people to conserve energy. And at the same time we give tips in the form of cooking gas, how to use more efficient cooking gas, efficiency in fuel consumption in vehicles, and things like that.
The main theme is like, why do we need to conserve petroleum?
Well, that's very important actually. See, let's talk about numbers now. Why we need to conserve? First of all, if you let us go from the worldwide, fossil fuels is 84% of the energy in the world, out of which auto fuels itself is quite substantial, followed by gas, then coal. Now, if you see by the numbers, today's estimate, proven reserves to production ratio worldwide is around 50 years. That means fossil fuel is going to last another 50 years. In India, this number is 15 years. So that means fossil fuels are not going to be here forever. So we need to conserve. That is one. Second is India as a country is importing substantial amount of crude oil every year. It's around 80% today. We do not produce so much of crude oil. Our import bill itself, it's on crude oil is 25% of the entire import bill of the country. $120 billion US. So we need to reduce that import bill, we need to conserve. That is second point. And third, which is now becoming most important, is the clean energy. Clean and green energy. That's in fact the tagline of this Saksham 2021. So if we can convert, if we can move ourselves from fossil fuels to other energies, or to other forms of energies, or to bring in more clean energy, it's good for the nation.
You see, while we are appealing to the people to conserve petrol and gas, right? Petroleum and gas, so how can the common masses save petrol or gas in their day-to-day life?
Yeah, there are common masses. For the common masses, there are a number of tips. People there in the retail outlets and the petrol pumps give this kind of tips. Like for example, in fact this time I am not saying that, even switching off your vehicle on red lights having cleaning of your gas burners. These are common tips that one can use. See, we will need energy. Let us understand one thing. One is not, this is not reduction of energy. This is conserve energy. India's energy consumption is very, very low compared to worldwide. So India is developing, and definitely as we are developing, there will be energy consumption. As we are expanding, there will be energy consumption. We are widening the roads. We are increasing the railway connection. The people of 130 billion people out here, this is growing every day, and India's economy is growing so fast. So obviously, energy requirement, energy demand will go up. Our idea is to how to conserve this. That's the promotion.
While talking about development, and along with conservation, we talk about sustainable development in the country. So how can conservation of petroleum products go along with sustainable development?
Correct. For all developments today, sustenance is in fact a very, very important issue in all our developments. Today, for example, we are, as I am saying, that we are now developing, we are setting up, expanding capacities. We have to ensure that sustenance of the neighborhood, sustenance of the flora and fauna of the neighborhood. In fact, Numaligarh being located in a very eco-sensitive zone, our duty is much more than any other refineries in the nation. And we have been taking this kind of measures for sustenance of the neighborhood. In fact, Government of India, when giving up the approval, makes us obligatory for us to spend a particular percentage of the project on this kind of sustainable activities in and around the area.
Now, when we are talking about sustainable development and petroleum conservation, so what step is the industry taking to reduce the emissions in the traditional oil producing and gas producing facilities in the country?
Yeah. See, I will not be able to say about all the industries, but let us talk about oil refineries where we are from. Now, oil refineries, when we refine oil, we need to consume energy. So that's a factor which needs to be more efficient. There are two parameters where we are, in fact, today being judged, being valued in our parameters for our performance. One is SEC, secondary energy conservation, and second is energy intensity index. And in fact, I am very happy to say all the refineries are performing quite well. All the refineries are doing a lot of environment ENCON measures that we call, environment conservation measures, trying to reduce the leakages and the steams that we do in a refinery for processing the crude oil, in modification of the various plants, using energy efficient burners, energy efficient heat exchangers, and stuff like that. There is a capex involvement, but we all are doing, and in fact, Numaligarh has done substantially in this sector. Let me share with you one small incident on NRL. See, the refineries worldwide in India, are being evaluated, benchmarked by an agency called Solomon Associates. They do worldwide, and in India also they are doing it for the Indian refineries. And then they have a sense of marking which is called quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, and all those. And your idea is that they first place the refinery and see where we are. So in NRL, we were in quartile 4 at one time in some of the energy parameters. And because of this measure that we have taken in the last couple of years, we are now very happy to see in SEC we are in quartile 1. And that's substantial saving of energy in our refinery operations. So that the way we are doing it, similarly other refineries are also doing it. So that's these are some measures that as an industry we have been now bound to do it. Now the scheme of PAT has started, perform, achieve, and other is PAT. So this is the scheme where Bureau of Energy Efficiency is measuring our energy consumption in the refineries.
So when we talk about refineries and industries, there's always a question of affluents, pollutants going out, affecting the neighboring people and other, also affecting the flora and fauna, and the surrounding areas. So how do you go about it?
No, see, you're talking about refinery specific.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have to take number of measures for that. We have to take number of measures for that. See the growth, economic growth, and the flora and fauna of the neighborhood. These both things has to go. It's a balanced growth has to be there. And I think nobody else can better challenge than a company like us, refinery located just around 40, 30, 35 kilometers from the national sanctuary of Kaziranga. We, in fact, if you see when we started this refinery, we had to spend around 165 crores, if I remember the number well, more than any other refineries on a similar nature, only to protect the Kaziranga sanctuary.
Right.
So that's, if you see those the towers that we have, what you call as columns in the refinery, our columns has to be higher. The Numaligarh refinery today doesn't have a flare that is burning. If you go to the refinery, you don't see the flare burning there because the flare is in the ground. So those are extra cost. Flare will be there in a refinery. Flare of the gas that goes out of the refinery needs to be flared out. That's the safety requirement. So every refinery, in Guwahati refinery here, you will see a flare going up in Guwahati refinery. But Numaligarh, there is no flare. You don't see a flare. That was one of the conditions being imposed on us. And for that, we had a flare on the ground level, which we cover it up. So that those are extra cost. Right. We have a monitoring, monitoring units inside in the Kaziranga National Park. We have kept there to see what is the SOx and NOx, that we are emitting from the refinery.
Impact on the national park.
Impact on national park. Impact on the neighborhood. So that scheme, those comes along with the environment clearance only nowadays, and all such kind of process plants, such kind of hazardous plants of an oil refinery, they need to do that.
Now, when you're talking about these problems and the safeguards you have to take, in view of the location of the annual refinery near the Kaziranga National Park, the government has last year approved expansion of Numaligarh refinery from 3 million metric tons per annum to 9 million metric tons per annum.
Correct.
So at a cost of about rupees 22,000 crores.
Correct.
So this is a very huge expansion project. So how are you, planning the road ahead, keeping all these safeguards, in mind?
Yeah. Now that you have asked for the expansion project, well, that is probably the biggest investment that's going to happen in Northeast in the next couple of years, at least in our industry. I do not know what railways. Railways have that kind of capex. So Numaligarh's capital expenditure annually has drastically gone up actually. This year itself we have to cross 900 crores, and next year our target is around 2,500 crores. So for a single refinery, for a single company, 2,000 crores, 2,500 crores of capex is huge. And then of course the year after that is 4,000 and so on. Now expanding this capacity, we already have a 3 million ton refinery there, so 3 million ton. So we will be having a similar kind of 6 million ton adjacent to that. So total will become 9. That's how the project will move. Then of course there will be some bit of common utilities which we'll have along it for both the two plants. Recently in July this year, during the period of COVID, and having this kind of online access, online interviews, and after carrying over all those EI study and all those, the Government of India, Ministry of Environment and Forest has given us the EC approval. In fact, so that is the start date. So our meter has started. We need to complete this project from 48 months from July. So the target is July 2024. That's the commissioning target. Refinery alone at Numaligarh will be around 12,000 crores as of today, but then it's going to go up because of some changes in duties and taxes and some change in scope. Our project DFR was 2015, and with some bit of recent demand supply numbers, we are trying to make ourselves petrochemical ready. So in that place, we will have to invest a couple of thousand crore rupees more, so that 22,000 figure will go up. Of course, this has not been approved as yet, so I am not quoting any number. And another around 8,000 crores will be on the pipeline. We will be laying a pipeline from Paradip Port to Numaligarh to bring the crude oil. Now this pipeline will bring crude oil for Numaligarh as well as for Bongaigaon and Guwahati refinery also, a little bit. That's around 2 million, and then balance 6 million will come to Numaligarh. So project activity has started. COVID time only we have started project activities. Numaligarh we are doing online meetings. Most of the, in fact, all the licensors, all the plant, there are around 6 licensors, various technology for the refinery. All of them are in place, except for one. Licenses are in place. These are foreign licenses, except one item which is open earth licensing, and the EPCM, project management consultant, they are also in place. We have already placed order of more than 1,000 crores.
Equipment.
Yeah, equipment, licensing fees, this order has been placed. Expenses have not happened, of course, but commitment level has gone up about 1,000 crores, 1,200 crores. We are now, after COVID time, actually we are trying to front load some of our expenses so that the economy keeps on moving. That's actually a focus area of Government of India.
For Indians in connection, like the last 8 to 10 months have been a very very difficult period for everyone. So how did you cope up with this pandemic period, like as a
pandemic was a big challenge for us starting from March, and since we are 24/7 plant, we have to keep on, our jobs are going on shift duties. So we have taken number of measures and we could sustain that. In fact, we are happy to say that we didn't lose production, except a little bit of diesel. But petrol demand was going up. We have been able to get markets even outside the state of West Bengal. So throughput and production was more or less, it has gone down to 80% at one time, in fact 75 also. But today we are back to pre-COVID level. Our challenge was LPG. LPG was going on full swing that time, and so we need to produce LPG and we need to bottle LPG also. So LPG producing, LPG bottling, the tank trucks coming from outside, people coming from outside. So those are the challenges. So we need to sanitize, we need to, in fact, at one time, if you remember, there was just no restaurant, nothing was open there. So we are providing free food to everybody, the tank trolley drivers, the helpers, and so that the supply chain continues. And within the refinery, we have done number of measures. Like, for example, give a small example we are giving is that a shift. When first we had the COVID impact on employees. See, for example, a plant has got suppose 6 or 7 people working in a plant. Now, if one person becomes COVID positive, the whole of the plant area, everybody has to go for quarantine and go for testing and quarantine. So, and we did not have so much of manpower. So what we did was that we enhanced our shift from 8 hours to 12 hours. So at a stretch, so that means one unit, one gang was free with us as a backup. Earlier we had 3 gangs, so why does it mean? So these measures were there to keep the plant going, maintained. Then, of course, work from home.
We did not have any major disruptions.
We didn't have any major disruptions. There was no death. We had around 180 people in our colony had become COVID positive, and the impact also. But then we opened up we had a nursing school nearby, our own school, nursing school. We converted that to a COVID care center, and when initially they were staying there. After government allowed us to stay at home, then we used to sanitize the home and keep in the township. Number of measures we have taken. Our hospital also was a big help for us. We have a hospital outside.
So just coming back to this expansion program and all that, which you are doing. We have to remember that the Numaligarh refinery was set up as a Assam Accord refinery. So there's a question of employment of local people, like development of ancillary industries and related issues. So how are you tackling these issues? Because there are a lot of emotion and sentiments involved with this refinery which has come up, following the Assam Accord.
Yeah, employment potential is huge. See, today also I'm not saying direct, it's mostly indirect employments. Indirect employments, today itself we have around 1,500 people on a daily basis. On indirect, I'm talking about coming to the refinery. Our own employees are around 1,000. That's only at Numaligarh location. Then we have locations at Siliguri, Guwahati, Calcutta, like that. With this expansion in the state of Assam, we expect, in fact, not less than 15,000 plus engaged on a daily basis will be working when the refinery construction activities will be going on full swing. That's, and so on employment, I'm talking about directly. Then indirectly, of course, once it is commissioned, the tank lorries, the LPG bottlings and things, stuff like that will go up. So huge potential for employment.
Service sectors also will
Service sectors will go up.
Right.
The neighborhood is growing up.
Right.
Numaligarh, that whole neighborhood, the economy of this district of Golaghat, Bokakhat, Jorhat, that itself is, Numaligarh is the main driver of growth for these three districts.
A lot of changes are taking place.
Changes are taking place. Cost of people's earning has gone up. Though of course price is also going up simultaneously, but then development is happening, and we are only one drivers. And since see what happens is that now today I am having meetings every day with our vendors, with our suppliers. When they see confidence, of projects happening in Northeast, happening in Assam, they get a confidence to build the projects. Right. At one time we are not getting big firms to come to set up projects in Assam or the Northeast. Today they see Numaligarh, they see the railways, doing projects. They see NHPC doing projects, doing very smoothly. States law and order is very smooth now, and roads have widened up.
Attract investors from outside also to
invest
in the state and the region as a whole.
Correct. And Assam as a region is giving so much of promotion, promoting industry, so much of incentives they are giving to the industry. So I feel that with Numaligarh,
some government is also coming in strongly to promote.
Very strongly, and a big support from state government we are getting.
You are also reaching out to our neighboring countries like Bangladesh, Myanmar, and all that. So that is also
Bangladesh. We are already selling on a monthly basis now. On an average, 4 railway rakes of diesel we sell to Bangladesh in a place called Parvatipur. That we send it from we have a terminal at Siliguri. From Siliguri we send it. Now we are laying a pipeline. Now this of course is funded by Government of India as a grant in the portion in Bangladesh. This is a 165 kilometers pipeline, out of which only 5 kilometers in India, and balance it's all in Bangladesh. So that portion is being funded by the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, but we are doing the project.
There's also a good demand for paraffin wax also. No?
Paraffin wax, another. We are in fact the largest producer of paraffin wax in the country today. That's primarily because Assam crude that we are processing is waxy, so you can extract wax from that. And it's got a good demand. So our paraffin wax is doing well, and we have been exporting to a number of countries. Of course, India's demand itself is quite high, and now after COVID, in fact, Chinese wax are not coming too much, so there are a lot of growth in India's wax.
So we see a very bright future for NRL and the oil industry as a whole in the northeastern region. Mr. Barua, we are coming to the end of our interview. Thank you so much for coming here and joining us here today.
Thank you.
On the occasion of Saksham 2021. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.